Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's Our DisneyPlus.com, the weekly Q&A. So big hello and welcome to everyone if you're joining live or if you are watching on the replay. So big hello. And so each week I answer questions from our Patreon and YouTube channel members. So they have been able to submit in advance some questions. So we've got lots of great ones to jump into. We've also got the live chat going right now for the YouTube channel members. So if you do become a YouTube channel member, you can join in. We've got quite a few people already jumping in. We got Bubba Trolling, we got Matt, we got Keenan, we got Miles, we got Sosina. So hello to all of you. You can also use the super chat function, which allows you to send in questions, all of which help support the channel and the YouTube page and the podcast and the website. And it really does mean a huge amount. Generally and stuff at the minute with the way that Google is, all of your support really does mean a huge amount to me. And yes, a big thank you to everyone. So here we've got Babak and we've got Knoxwave already joining in. So thank you so much. So if you've got any questions, feel free to jump in. And just a quick note as well, there won't be a live Q&A next week because it's Easter Sunday. So I'm going to take the weekend and have a weekend off. So I'll be back in 2 weeks. But nevertheless, let's get going. And let's start off with a great question from Keenan, who says, Minecraft has a chance to hit the $1 billion, or to be a $1 billion hit. It's already hit half that already. Well, we'll be getting more sequels, and with us getting more sequels to Mario, Angry Birds, and Sonic, what other video games do you think could be made into a movie? So I put up a poll that anyone can vote in. Fortnite is currently leading the way with 40%, GTA at 25%, Call of Duty at 10%. I couldn't quite decide on what to put on the fourth one. I had quite a few different ideas. But I went with Kirby. 25% of you agree with that one. Maybe that was a good little idea one. So in terms of like my initial thoughts, so now I love video games. I pretty much play video games pretty much every day. I usually try and get about an hour or so in before bedtime. That's kind of my chill out time, just to relax. And I have been playing video games since my first console was the NES, the original NES. I also had an Atari before that, so I've been playing games since the 80s. So I am definitely I've had pretty much almost every console at some point. I love playing games. So in terms of like what I think could be turned into a movie, now there's been a lot of movies over the last few years that have not hit. We're kind of in an age now where I think we've got people coming in making the films that understand and respect video games much better than they did in the past. I'm looking forward to watching the new season of The Last of Us because that game is fantastic. Obviously, Minecraft is done very well, and that looks like, and I think Minecraft feels like a movie where the executives and some of the people within the industry maybe don't really understand just the popularity of Minecraft and how it's been a big hit for so long. Now, in terms of video games into movies and maybe also into series as well, I think the big problem to me is trying to turn a game into a movie is very difficult when you could take like a game which maybe has 30, 40, 50 hours and maybe has got like 20, 30 hours of story content. Trying to squeeze that down into like a 2-hour adventure is very difficult. And I think that's where most of the movies have fallen flat, is because trying to squeeze a huge story into that amount of time can't be done. Now, I think there's been some pretty good ones, like I think Uncharted. That was a fun little movie and kind of felt like the game. So like, I mean, some games that I could just throw off the top that I think would be great, either as a series or a film. Red Dead Redemption, but again, it probably need to be a series. Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, which I think they're making that as a series. I mean, I think Assassin's Creed, now the movie didn't really click, but I think they probably needed to just squeeze it down a little bit more. Trying to get all of that into one go is probably quite difficult, because I love the story in Assassin's Creed games, but again, there's just too much of it, I think, and I don't think it worked in the movie, even though sort of 20th Century did try it. Grand Theft Auto, I think, is a very hard game to transfer because the storyline is so big. I mean, GTA 5, what's that, 30, 40 hours? I mean, I've gone through that game twice. GTA 1 and 2 and 3. I think 1 and 2 were back on the PlayStation 1 era. so I don't know if they would work. But like 4 or 5, I don't know. I don't know if the story is good enough. I mean, I'm sure they're trying to do it. Fortnite that Jenny keeps getting brought up as one that maybe says that you could maybe do Fortnite a little bit easier, because if you squeeze down the story and just have their own focus on the main, like, the motive, I don't know. I think you could maybe do it as a single story and not introduce all the different characters and stuff, and keep it quite simple. Just have a few, but I don't know, like with Fortnite, whether or not it might need to be animated. That might be a better way of doing it, rather than live action. I'm definitely thinking something like Horizon Zero Dawn would have been a really good one, but I'm sure they are making something of that one. Trying to, in some ways, like I know, we got a live action version of Zelda coming, so that could be interesting. Is it live action or animated? I can't remember. But I think with the big thing really is that they've got to work out that they've got to make the movie fit a movie. Trying to squeeze a 20-hour story into a 2-hour story just doesn't work. And I think that's definitely a big one. Let's see what you guys thinking. So Susan says, when do you think Angry Birds will become a movie? They've already done 2. There's a third one coming. There's already a couple of them. Barbara Trolling says, I wish Disney didn't cancel the Sims movie. I mean, that could have. Sims, would that work? I mean, I've never played The Sims. It doesn't really appeal to me. Matt says, do you think you could make could you think they could make a Star Fox movie? Yeah, I think that would be very hard to. That'd be very sci-fi, and I don't know, how would you do Star Fox? Would you do? Puppet. Obviously they'll probably do it CGI now, but it probably sounds like a very expensive movie. Now, I loved Star Fox on the Super Nintendo. That was like, I remember that when that game came out, it had a special chip in it to make it so cool. But I don't know if it's maybe a big enough franchise for them now. I definitely think like Donkey Kong or Kirby or something like that could be a little bit more interesting. Kelly says, to answer the question, I would say Fortnite, since it resonates with Gen Z. Ideally, I wanted Kingdom Hearts, but the demographic skews older and is more niche. I think Kingdom Hearts could be a good one. I actually, Final Fantasy, they did. I remember going to cinema and seeing an animated movie. They've done it a few times with Final Fantasy. It could probably work. I think with Kingdom Hearts, I actually think it might work better as a series than as a film. And also, I think if they were to make a film of Kingdom Hearts, I think they would really need to trim down the storyline a little bit, maybe take out all the Final Fantasy elements and make it explain it a little bit more. Because I am someone that I have played through Kingdom Hearts 1 to 3. I've played through the 2.8. I've played through some DS games. I've played through a few other. I must have completed about 6 or 7 of the Kingdom Hearts games. I still don't have a clue what the hell the story is about. To just kill the shadows. Yeah, I'm just gonna, because I do actually have. I don't know if you can see it. See, we do have a little soft toy there. From Kingdom Hearts. So I am a big Kingdom Hearts fan. Babak says, could Disney do a Kingdom Hearts adaptation? I think animated is the only way of doing it, because of Mickey Mouse and Donald, especially if you've got Donald Duck and Goofy chasing Sora around. You're going to need to do that in animation. Keenan says, movies based on video games seems to be a hot trend right now. Well, the thing is, as we have seen with Disney and with Hollywood, is when something works, they will do it to death. If they think there's a little bit of money to be made, they will go after it. I think we've got, like I said, a generation of movie makers which appreciate movies or video games differently. And I think audiences are more used to video games, and you've got parents that have grown up with video games. So now, like when you've got a Zelda or a Star Wars, or not Zelda or Super Mario, I was just thinking then you could do a Metal Gear Solid. That would be quite good. There's a lot of things that could be done that would be much more likely to do these. So, but I think also it's just looking for new ideas, looking for new stories. There's always been this trend and this idea that certain, like, executives, of a certain age generally would look down on video games, but now video games are bigger than movies, and they make more money than movies, and they're bigger than And I think it was like Iger recently, when he got told of how much time people now play video games compared to watching TV, he then went and brought a 10% stake in Epic. They know that Disney's has had a notoriously bad thing with video games, but yeah, it's a hot trend. Kelly said his first video game console was the Super Nintendo. However, it wasn't the first game I played, since I played it on Windows 98 prior to it. Yeah, I mean, I had the Atari 65 XE. We also, I mean, my dad even had a Pong game with tennis. And it was literally, you had a little orange thing that you used to have to twiddle to make the line go up and down. That's how old it was. Yeah, and so we had a little cassette. So it was actually on cassette player, and you used to have to put it in. So that was like my first console. I remember at the time being rather upset with my mum and dad for buying that Atari 65 XE, because I wanted a Commodore 64 that all my friends had. And I ended up with this Atari because it was cheaper. And then my mum and dad didn't know any difference. I mean, still, but then I grew up playing a lot then, like when I was like 7 or 8, playing a lot of Atari games, Centipede, Millipede, Asteroids, Missile Command. Those were kind of what I used to play when I was a youngster before Super Mario and the Nintendo came out. Kelly said, Baba, if Kingdom Hearts does get an adaptation, I expect it to be animated, since CGI would make the budget too big. Animation gives them more freedom. Yeah. Minecraft with Jack Black and Jason Momoa, who are both hilarious. That's a big reason why the movie worked. Yeah, seems a lot of people seem to be really enjoying it. I mean, the whole thing with this whole chicken thing is a bit worrying, but again, it feels a little bit like the Rise of Gru thing, where it's going to blow up. I'll be honest, I'll watch Minecraft when it hits Netflix or to rent, because I know my wife will not want to rent that one. We rented, or I rented, because she let me pay, and it was an offer on the Apple. It was $1.99. It was Venom: The Last Stand. That was awful, absolutely awful. Kate says, I say Minecraft has a surprise hit, considering Warner Brothers didn't have much faith in the film and marketing was weird. However, I think they underestimated how popular the game was to a key demo. Minecraft's been big for a long time, and I do think they misunderstood it. And I don't think, I don't think they understood it. If they did a Fortnite film, they would say focus on original characters, but establish characters like Goku who could have a cameo with a big impact. I'm trying to think who normally. There's normally the captain guy. He's the one that normally. With my skin at the minute, I'm currently Jake from Avatar. That's my current one. I'm waiting for the new Star Wars, the new chapter to kick in. I didn't really like the last one, so I haven't bothered playing it. Knox says, I'd love to see a PlayStation exclusive game called Detroit Becomes Human get adapted over on Netflix. I love playing it when it was released. Is it any good? I've seen it pop up on my PlayStation Plus thing, but I've never played it. It's normally a game. Yeah, I do like those kind of, because I really liked what was it? Days Gone. That was good. Matt says Super Smash Brothers. I think the trouble with Super Smash Brothers is you've then just got, like, what's the story? Like, what's the, you've just got all the characters just fighting. I don't really see how they could do that and it work as a storyline. Mario says, if 20th Century decides to make a GTA movie, do you think their movie would be suited to cel-shaded animation like the box out of the game? No, I think they just do it live action. But it'd probably be really bad. I just don't have a lot of faith in it. Mara says, I used to play video games, but not anymore. My brothers still do now. Yeah, I mean, some people could go out of it. I mean, there was an era where I probably didn't play as much. It's just one of those things. I view video games now. It's just like reading or watching TV. It's just something that I do, and I enjoy playing games. And I like I said, I usually get in a good hour or two pretty much every night, and that's kind of my time just to. Sorry, Keenan. Yeah, sometimes it's just the case of, I just like playing it. When the fans singing, I'm not quite sure what that is. Oh, here we go. I'm surprised they didn't remove a Minecraft movie, since the fans were throwing popcorn and snacks when the chicken jockey. This reminds me of how when Wicked was released and the fans singing. Yeah, I saw this clip of someone, like, the screen went crazy with people throwing popcorn, and then some guy brought a chicken in. I mean, that's just cruel. The only one, and Tinkerbell says, I don't like gaming except for non-violent games like Solitaire, Minecraft, or Mahjong. The last big game I liked was The Seventh Quest in the 90s. That would make a good movie. Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, I had Pong as well. Yeah, it was a good game. I mean, this is the thing. There's a lot of people as well that just play games. Like my wife, she'll play games on her phone all the time, and she'll play like different like moving things around kind of thing. I don't. The only game I play on my phone is Magic the Gathering Arena. That's the only game I will play. That, and I don't tend to play. I like the console experience. That's kind of like what I got. Mara says, did Disney relinquish the rights to The Sims? I don't remember anything about that one, I'll be honest. When would Fortnite be a movie? If they aren't having phone calls and conversations, I'll be very, very surprised. I mean, it is one of the biggest video games in the world. Mara says, could Disney license out the upcoming Oswald the Lucky Rabbit series to broadcasters like the BBC after it releases on Disney Plus? I'd say no. Generally, if you look at licensed out shows, if it falls under the Disney brand, Marvel or Star Wars or Pixar, they are essentially, I think they are off limits from being licensed out. I think movies, they will license out the movies, but the series are straight up just, I would say a no. I would just be a hard. Anything from 20th century, much more likely. Keenan says, I think the N64 or the PS1 was my first gaming console. Cool. Well, I was, when those consoles came out, I was at college and at university, and I instinctively remember getting my first student loan check when it cashed, and being the responsible 18-year-old that I was, went straight into Virgin Megastore and bought myself a Nintendo 64 and GoldenEye. And that was that one. And I do remember walking around the high street going, I think I ended up getting it from Sony, trying to get my PlayStation 1, because I had to go from store to store to store and put in pre-orders and stuff. In the end, I went with Sony because it was like, well, I figured, and they were like, well, we'll take a pre-order. So yeah, I do remember the PS1 was great. Knoxwave says Detroit becoming human is amazing, as there's a choice you have to make and it has multiple endings. Cool. Babak says people just don't know how to act in theatres anymore. I think there is that, but I also think with Minecraft, what we've got now is a TikTok sensation and everyone wanting to join in and be part of it, which is bringing in money. But at the same time, it is that kind of thing of, if you don't know that's coming, that is going to scare the heebie-jeebies out of people. But then all the kids will probably all know about this chicken jockey thing. Bowick says the Amateur was also really good. I didn't know it was a remake. No, I didn't know. I'm going to wait till it comes out on Disney Plus or digital. The trailers look good, but it's a kind of a movie where I'm like, do I want to go see it? It didn't really feel like a movie I have to go see at the cinema. Yeah. I can see Oswald airing on the Disney Channel, but nowhere else. Yeah, I don't think they'll license it out. Right, let's jump back into some other pre-done questions. Miles asked, could Steven Spielberg, specifically Minority Report, Lincoln, and Bridge of Spies, which were produced by 20th Century Studios, also relieve similar treatment to Kingdom of Heaven? So it's recently being kind of given a relaunch on physical and like in 4K. I don't know if that's just because of it's Ridley Scott, but also it does feel like Disney's like sort of the home video market seems to be kind of going back and taking a look at some big popular films, re-releasing them in 4K, and it makes sense. I mean, it makes absolute sense for Disney to lean in and do these physical like collector's editions. This is what I think the market now needs to be. It's 4K Blu-ray box sets with lots of special features, a nice looking box, and make it appealing to being a physical disc. Your average Joe is not going into the supermarket and buying that movie on a normal standard DVD, or Blu-ray. This is now we're going into a new market. Now I can see like some people are going, well, I don't like having to pay extra for all these extra features. There's just releasing a lot less of them. Dana says, to go off the Mando movie, I think it could be a great opportunity to start afresh and create new characters and stories. And they should do it with the Star Wars franchise. Agree. I don't know with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I kind of feel like let's use the characters that have either been introduced. Don't go too crazy. We kind of need to wrap up, or not necessarily wrap up, but keep it in the era that it's in. Maybe use some of the characters that we already know and build on that rather than introducing too many new characters. So I don't necessarily think we need too many new ones. Keenan says, what's the difference between SportsCenter Plus and SportsCenter? And also, could SportsCenter Plus be an hour show in the future? So the difference is between SportsCenter Plus and SportsCenter is there's a plus. no, but generally SportsCenter Plus, I think, is like a 10-15 minute show. I haven't watched it yet. I've got no interest in it. It looks like they're kind of showing it on ESPN. Personally, I think SportsCenter Plus is going to be a massive flop and it'll be gone before the end of the year. I don't know who this target audience was, trying to create a sports show for general audiences. And the advertising to me was so condescending as a non-sports fan, to the point of like, if I'm not a sports fan, you're talking to me like I'm an idiot. And if I was a sports fan, I'd be going, why would I want to watch that rubbish? And as you said, I think generally, I think SportsCenter will just become, I think this will be gone before the launch of ESPN flagship. I think it was a little bit, it's going to be an experiment. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think that's going to work. Khaled says, with China's potentially banning US films in response to the trade wars, what could Disney and other studios do to recalibrate going forward? The problem is with obviously not being in China, it does mean then that they've got problems with the box office, the money coming in. So they've got to kind of keep the budgets under control. Now, I do think we don't seem to be having the same influence on some of these movies that we saw like before the pandemic, when, I just remember like Transformers being one of those movies of like, you could, and in a few movies like, okay, they're really putting this in that area. The thing is, Disney does need its movies like Zootopia and Avatar probably need to be out there, maybe Fantastic Four, because, they're big for the theme parks. Shanghai has a massive Zootopia area. It's massive over there. Disney might have a better chance of being some of the selected, because not all movies have been banned, I don't think. I think it's the select ones. I think Disney might have a better chance because they will be like, they have some kind of help in the country. And let's be honest, let's just call a spade here. The current political system that's going on, I wouldn't want to make a bet about this still being in place by tomorrow. Everything is changing so quickly. If it does happen, I think it is it's gonna cause problems for a number of movies, but it's also, I don't know if Disney has been as dependent on them for some of the big ones. I don't think, so many movies over the last few years haven't been released there. They are going to have to bring the budget down. But yeah, Zootopia and Avatar 3 definitely feel to me like the movies that need to have that release over in China. Babak says, do you think other countries will make a streaming tax like the UK? Yeah. So what this is the UK Culture Committee has recommended to the government to put like a 5% levy on streaming services. So say, for example, like you're paying £10 for Disney Plus here, they would get 5% of that, and each month or per year, however they work it out. And that would apply to all streaming services, so Disney Plus, Amazon. The reason is they are trying to protect our local industry. Because if they don't do anything, what's going to end up happening is Amazon, Netflix, and Disney, and Apple, etc., are just going to dominate. They're going to, like we saw with Amazon, with everything else, of just like clear out a load of the smaller channels and the smaller video networks and stuff that exist in each country, and then in time reduce the amount of stuff they're making to save money. And then before you know it, we're hardly getting anything originally made here in the UK, and our movie industry has been decimated. So they're trying to work out a way of protecting it moving forward. Now, it is controversial. A lot of people don't want to pay 5% to the, to a levy for things that they don't want to watch. And then there's, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think I think a 5% levy is better than saying you need to make 1% of your content on Disney Plus be British, because what that does is it means then we're not getting all the if there's anything out in the US or in Asia, we get stuff cut because they're trying to bring that ratio up. So I would rather have just a levy on it, and we are going to pay more for it, but I mean, we're paying more for everything anyway. But I enjoy watching British shows. I enjoy watching British content. I am a fan of the BBC and how it works, and I think it provides a different kind of content that we don't get from Netflix and Amazon. I do prefer that. I know there's a lot of shows that I like, and I have over the last few years definitely seen a vast reduction in the amount of content coming out of those channels. Channel 4, I mean, other than the fact that I'm just watching Married at First Sight Australia at the minute, there's not a lot out at the minute. They used to be Channel 4 and BBC 2 when I was growing up as a teenager. They had everything cool because they were able to get all the best of the American stuff. Well, now that none of that goes through linear television, so all they get. I saw an advert today while watching. It was like Devious Maids coming to ITV. It's like this is like a 10-year-old show. So I'm in the camp where I think we have to protect our local industries. We have to protect our local stories, because if we don't, it will be gone. And if it's gone, you can say, well, it's commercialism and only the best survive. That's great in some respects, but if everything, and as we're seeing right now with the trade wars, if you move everything to one country and you give too much power to one country or one place, it can cause problems down the line. Matt says, what other changes would you like to see Disney Plus make to the app? I'd like them to add a leaving soon section, or notify us of what's leaving. Better indication of what's new in terms of like a little flag for like new episodes, so we can see it a little bit clearer. Add more. They could add a whole load of more avatars. They've not even really reached into the Star Hulu side of things. Better collections, better genres, better. But my big one, AI, or an algorithm on the front to feed up new content to watch. Look on what your history is. Also, if you are a person, like me, don't keep showing me Disney Junior shows that I'm never going to watch on the front page. But also, if I've watched a whole series or a whole movie and I've never gone back and watched it again, why do you keep bringing it to me? I do have a little bit of a slight difference with Disney Plus, because say Daredevil Born Again, it's obviously flags up for me to watch it, but I've already seen it because I watched it on a different app. But through the screeners that they sent me early to review. So there's this kind of thing of sometimes it's it doesn't know that I've seen it, which makes sense. But I do think the algorithm is probably the best thing that they needed to do. All right, let's have a look, see what we've got on the questions. Matt says, do you think this city should do more comedy shows? Do you think Disney should do more comedy? There is a real lack of comedies nowadays. Now, it does look like Disney's kind of leaning in a little bit more on the stand-up shows and giving us a little bit more of that. We did get a new comedy the other day, Mid-Century Modern. I did watch an episode or two of that one. It was all right. But the trouble is with a lot of this comedy now is it just doesn't really hit. It's not funny. Everything is, in some ways, because nothing can be made fun of. There's nothing that they don't really know how to make comedies the same way that they used to. And I don't know. There's comedies seem to have definitely been hit. The stand-up stuff, I haven't really none of the stand-up monthly releases that they've done so far. I don't know. I think Bill Burr was the only one I've ever heard of. The rest of them, because they're all American comedians, a lot of the American humor doesn't translate well. I would like them to do, I think what they're doing with the comedian stuff, I think they should actually start doing a British one every month, and maybe a Canadian one and an Australian one, and really start ramping up on giving us different comedy specials, because they're going to be cheap to make, but also make, just giving us some different types of comedians would be really good. Kelly said I could see SC Plus quietly phased out as ESPN flagship launches. If anything, they would do an international sports center to showcase world sports. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. I don't think you're an idiot. I think you're a nerd. Well, I can be a nerd and an idiot at the same time. Marv says, in relation to my pre-down questions, could the UK 4K release of this include touchdown pictures logo? No idea on the logo. I don't know if they would do. Again, because there's a dead brand. I don't really see why they would want to do that. Jonathan says, will they have a Bluey season 4? Possibly. The guy that's created them has been doing some more shorts. He's also working on the movie. And by the announcement that he put out last year, it seems like they could be working on new episodes, but he's not doing them. He's focused on the movie. So I think it's maybe something like that. Keenan says, if China wants to ban Disney films, they should just do it temporarily until things get sorted. This whole situation with it's all temporary. It's all temporary because everything is changing every 10 minutes. Noxo says, are you excited for Thunderbolts? Yes, I am. I'm really. That is going to be a movie I am going to go see on the morning it comes out. I like the characters in it. I like the fact that it's going to be slightly different, a little bit. Maybe it's going to have some of the characters that I like. Red Guardian, his kind of humor. Yeah, I am looking forward to it. I think I've always been in that category of looking. Thunderbolts was always the one of the 3 movies this year that I think was the one if I had the choice of only watching one of those 3, I think it would be Thunderbolts, just off of all the trailers and stuff. It was like, so no, I'm looking forward to that one. Bob Tronic says, do you think that Warner Brothers Discovery will sell the Cartoon Network after the split? Maybe. I think the problem is who's going to buy it. Because this is the big problem with kids channels. Kids aren't watching. All they're going to be trying to sell the Cartoon Network to is older people who aren't it's these channels are just, they're flailing faster than any other. The kids channels, like here in the UK, most like BBC and ITV and stuff, they shut down all their kids channels. I don't even know if they've got them anymore. Does Sky have any kids channels? I'm not sure anymore. Yeah, so Sky still have those kids channels, but yeah, most of them have gone because the kids aren't watching that way. The 109 Tinkerbell says, I prefer the 5% tax over quota. I think in Germany, a lot of the Disney Plus content was deleted to meet the quota. This wouldn't happen with it. Yeah, and this is exactly why I think the quota system doesn't work, because I think that is why here in Europe we keep having these slices where they'll go through and remove a load of Latin American and a load of Korean and just anything from National Geographic that's not being watched, and they're trimming out those shows because ultimately, again, if you've got a quota and you've got these shows that aren't being watched, those are the ones you swipe off. Because a lot of the ones that we've lost in Europe haven't been removed outside of Europe, which I 100% agree with you that they've been trimmed to help us meet the quota. Keenan says, my computer teacher and Bill Groats told me to be nice to nerds because chances are we'll work for them. Yes, that is always the thing. That's always been the kind of the standing joke, really, but it is true. Matt says, what other documentaries do you think about actors or singers would you like to see? So this is where I don't, if National Geographic was to do it, it's good. I do have a little bit of a problem with official documentaries where they become a little bit of a puff piece and gloss over some of the like more juicy details that you really want to know about. So we've had a few. We've had like the Beatles, the Beach Boys, Elton John, etc. And there's been they touched on some of these subjects, but no doubt if they were unofficial documentaries, they would have delved a lot more deeper into the storylines. That would have been a little bit more juicy. Babak says, I would also like a not interested option so you can remove things being advertised that you don't like. Yeah, I mean, that would be good. I'm not interested. I mean, I have that, you do that on YouTube of like, don't show this to me. Yeah, I think that would be good. Noxwave says, what TV shows that you stopped watching and disliked and why? Mine is The Wheel of Time, Pam and Tommy, and 13 Reasons Why. Well, I did like Pam and Tommy. I did think that was a good show. Wheel of Time, I watched 2 episodes and stopped. Actually, did I even watch 2? That was a show I just could not get into. It just didn't like it. Didn't. So that was one. Breaking Bad, that was one I tried watching. Didn't really get too far into that one. Game of Thrones, I watched the first season. Didn't carry on with that one. Even though I watched the first season of House of Dragon, I haven't got around to watching the second one yet. Yeah, those are kind of some of the ones that I kind of watched. Sometimes there's a thing of I don't like this, or I haven't got time for this, or it's just not good enough that I want to watch it, or it's just sometimes as well I just forget and I've moved on to something else. Like this week, I've been watching some shows, upcoming shows that are coming out on Disney Plus. So therefore, I didn't have time to watch what I would normally be watching, and so some shows have just fallen by the wayside. Recently, the Kardashians, I haven't watched that for weeks. Will Trent is another one I kind of fell off of. I don't think I've watched High Potential for a few weeks. Just kind of slow. Sometimes shows and then I'll pick them up a little bit later on. Sometimes I don't. Bubba Charlie says, do you think ESPN will have the Inside the NBA on Christmas? I don't know. I don't know on that one. Because a lot Inside the NBA, I believe, is being made by Warner Brothers, but is being being put out on both. Jonathan said, will they have Blue Sky season 4 or Bluey season 4 on Father's Day? No, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an animated special or some new shorts, but there won't be a whole season. The 119 versus the studio on Apple Plus is great comedy. I need to watch that one. I know my wife wouldn't want to watch that one, but that's one. It's on my watch list. Bobak says also a lot of big name comedians have existing deals with Netflix and Amazon and Netflix, so the smaller pool to choose from. A lot of those things as well. Sometimes they're just like one-off deals, and there's a lot of comedians. And again, Netflix has been picking up a lot, but I think most comedians, they want to be, they like a bit of money, and also, they often do they've constantly got new. If they're touring, they've got like a new show going on all the time. At the minute, I don't know. I've discovered Randy Feltface is a puppet from Australia, and I just find him really funny. I've been watching his stand-up. Babak says, Miles says, since Amazon and MGM is expanding their theatrical plans by launching an international distribution unit, do you think they could become the anti-Netflix in terms of theatrical releases? I think Amazon has realized that the theatrical model that Disney and Universal and Warner Brothers use has a lot of upsides to it, in the fact that you can offset some of the costs, you can get some of your money back. Also, MGM is an established studio with studio heads that have got decades of history. So there's that kind of thing of the executives at MGM know the business and have been established for long enough. I think, especially with Netflix, is all they are interested. They have got one thing to sell, and that is a subscription. That is all they've got, and that is what they're aimed at. Amazon is trying to make money, and they make money from selling products and doing other services and stuff. They've branched out into so many different things that they want to have a diverse income. Amazon seems to be kind of going down that line. They don't want to be dependent on just one thing. It's not just an online bookstore anymore. Amazon is a little bit more creative, and like the Amazon Prime way also to get you to buy stuff. And I think that's the key thing. Barbatronic says, do you think Disney would tell us more about flagship? Well, I think if it's launching in August, or I think August for the start of the NFL season, again, with these kind of things, how much in advance do they really need? I mean, I think a month or two out from when it launches is perfectly acceptable. I know we were always clamoring on finding out more information, and we want the info and we want to know. But in reality, everyone will forget. Most of the casual audience will forget and won't have a clue. But if they did this, if they do a launch a few weeks before it comes out, that is when you're going to get the attention. And then it's like, oh, you can sign up now for pre-register, or it would make sense to do it much later in the game. I do think we might hear more at the next investors, or at the next like quarterly call. Mara says, do you think that Disney's upcoming Fairy Flintoff documentary could get a limited theatrical release? No. It's 2 weeks out. I don't think it would be there. I don't think the interest would be there as well for a release. Kelly says, the Disney did confirm that Inside the NBA crew have a presence on NBA on Christmas Day as well as the ABC games. I thought too I had that one. Matt says, what do you think of Dr. Odyssey not being renewed yet? Well, that's another show that was on I watched 4 or 5 episodes and I completely forgot that I was watching it because it's a bit cheesy. It's probably a little bit expensive. I'll be honest. It's like, I don't know. It's all right, but it's not. It's a bit one-dimensional. There's not a lot of depth to it, and I don't know how that show can keep going. Of like, how many new guests can they come on that they want to have sex with? I don't know. It's just I don't know if it's got it in it. Keenan says Netflix and Max would be my top 2 for stand-up specials. Cool. I don't know about Max. I mean, Now TV over here doesn't really have those stand-up specials. They do a few bits and pieces. Netflix is definitely the one. Actually, I'd probably say I end up probably watching more on YouTube. Matt says, do you think we'll get a new Marvel collection, and what collection do you want to see from Marvel? I think just having character collections, and I don't know. I think the thing is with me with collections is like you can have a lot, you need to have a few things, but at the same time, I want collections that are not of the stuff that we've already got already. Marvel has got dozens of collections. It's already got its own hub. It's the collections for stuff that's more harder to find, themed around certain aspects and stuff, themed around an actor or more of a genre or a type. Whereas Marvel is, if you're looking for a Marvel film, you're going to find it in the Marvel section. Jonathan says, will they have the Bluey season 5? I believe they are working on stuff, but the creator right now is focused on making a new the first Bluey movie. Noxway says, what do you think of the Universal Studios coming to the UK? We actually had a couple of them, so I might as well answer this right now. Personally, I think this is great. It's going to take a while to come over here. Probably, I expect there'll be a year or 2 delay. Universal coming to the UK is going to be great for numerous reasons. It is going to give the UK market a kick up the butt. Alton Towers and Fort Park and stuff. I don't really like going to them because all it is a few big heavy roller coasters that you wait 2 hours for, and there's no theming. It's fine, but for me, I want something a little bit more that everyone can do. It just feels like that's how I feel with the UK ones. So I think it's going to be a good kick up the butt. It's also going to be a fantastic kick up the butt for Disney to start investing more in Disneyland Paris, because they're currently creating the new Frozen attraction. But in Paris, we've barely had more than 1 or 2 rides. I think we had the Ratatouille ride. We have hardly had anything since the studios opened. I know they're rebranding the theme park soon. But Disneyland Paris has been neglected for a long time because there wasn't enough competition here in Europe and I think Universal is going to help do that, because there's going to be a lot of people in the UK that are much more likely going to want to go like, shall we go to Universal for the weekend than go to Disneyland Paris? It is going to be good, but also it is in a different country. It is going to benefit, but there is going to be a big problem for Universal, and this is what I think Universal is going to have the same problem that Disneyland Paris does and anything else is there's going to be a lot of people going to it expecting it to be like what it is in Florida, and if it's a smaller, worse experience, it's not going to be happy, and it won't take long for the word to get around. Let's see what we've got. So Khalid and Keenan, you both asked about the tariffs. So we've kind of done that one already. Bubba Trolling says, do you think Marvel Studios will make a new series for Hulu? Nope. If they're going to make a show, it's more than likely they're going to end up, they'll whack it onto Hulu at the same time. But Marvel's home is on Disney Plus. That's the main thing. Kelly says, how does localization impact the budgets for Disney films? I read that Moana 2 in the Netherlands is called Vaiana 2. Yeah, Moana 2 is called a different name in a number of countries due to Moana is let's say an adult star in Europe. And so and had the trademark. So therefore they had to avoid the name. Zootopia. Zootopia here in Europe is called Zootropolis. There's quite a few. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, I think, is called Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in America. There's quite a few things. Rumble, I think it was the Rundown with The Rock was called Welcome to the Jungle over here, or it might be the other way around. But sometimes movies have to get rebranded. It's rare that it happens, but Zootropolis is one. And Moana is another one due to just copyrights. So obviously it's going to add on extra marketing, but at the end of the day, those movies are big enough to do it. But localization is something. Pixar's usually and Disney are pretty good because they'll do usually if there's ever a newsreader, they'll try and get like an English actor to do a bit or an Australian actor. And each country has a little. I don't know if they do that as much as they used to, but yeah. I'm just going to run down through a few more of these pre-done questions. Kayla says, I know it's a dumb question regarding localization, but I was doing a lab assignment for my IT help desk, and in that topic, I had to sample what the websites look like in other countries. Yeah, I mean, I think that is a key thing as well. There is additional costs, but obviously, this is why some countries are viewed like more important than others. So in countries where they make more money, they're much more likely to invest in more localization. Whereas some countries in Europe and around the world, they barely even get subtitles, where in other countries they get dubbing, special events, all kinds of stuff. And again, it's all going to come down to how much money they make. Connor says, are you looking forward to Universal Studios opening up in the UK? And would you visit there instead of Orlando? What IPs do you think they could make it unique? So I don't view it as a case of and or. It's a case of and. If you're going to Orlando, you go to the theme park. I've always gone to Orlando. Whenever I've gone to Orlando, we always go to Universal Studios. We always have a few days in Universal. It's been like that since as far back as the 90s. When every time I've been to Florida, I would go to Universal Studios. I didn't do it last time I went to Disneyland in California because it was too far away. But the time before that, I did both. So I tend to think of Disneyland and Universal, Disney and Universal as that's the combo that you do. I was only talking, we're kind of pricing up for next year whether or not we do it, and I want to obviously go to Epic Universe, but there being a Universal in London doesn't make any difference to me because it's going there. It's the same thing as if I go to Singapore, I want to go to Universal Studios in Singapore. If I was to go back to Beijing, I would go to Universal in Beijing. Bubbatronic says, do you think Disney will make... with regards to what IPs do you think that will make it unique? I think they are going to have to... I think Jurassic Park, the Minions, DreamWorks, how the Kid, the Pets one... Shrek, that kind of stuff. I don't know if they are going to be able to do Harry Potter because of the Warner Brothers rights, because they've obviously got Warner Brothers World here in London or in London already, which is quite a cool place. I'm just trying to think Wiki. There's a load of different franchises, but definitely Jurassic Park. Beltronic says, do you think Disney will make the next Disney bundle with Hulu and Disney Plus the base plan? I think my gut reaction is that Hulu and Disney Plus will become one, and then it's going to be bundle will be Disney Plus and ESPN flagship. Dana says, with a handful of games less, when do you think we'll hear more about the premiere of season 4 of Welcome to Wrexham? Well, it got announced this week. It's going to be coming out when was it? May the 5th, May the 16th. It's coming out, the first 2 episodes. So we had that announced this week. Miles says, if Predators Killer of Killers is successful on Hulu and Disney Plus, could this encourage 20th century studios to produce more animated films? Probably. I think it would have a very good chance of doing it. Miles also asked, since the Village Roadshow Entertainment Group, VREG, declared bankruptcy a few weeks ago, could Warner Bros. Discovery, the bigger part of Village, New Regency, or Acon acquire the rights to their film library? I would imagine it's more likely going to be they would have to be sold to whoever wants to pay the most to offset the loss. Whoever's dealing with the bankruptcy would probably be trying to get the highest number, so it wouldn't necessarily just revert up the chain. Who would want it? I don't think Warner Brothers would be in the mood to buy anything like that. And it depends on the franchises and the movies that are in there. New Regency, maybe. I don't know, but I think it's going to be down to whoever was willing to buy it. Caleb asks, what are you looking forward to from WrestleMania 41? I definitely looking forward to the John Cena Cody Rhodes match. Yeah, that's definitely a big one. I'm kind of definitely interested much more now in the Charlotte Tiffy match. That's one that I wasn't looking forward to, but it's that's become a little bit more fun. I think obviously Uso versus Gunter. I think that could be a great one. So those are kind of off the top of my head. And obviously Roman versus Punk versus Seth, I think is going to steal the show. Bobatronic says, and this is the last of the pre-done questions, and then we'll be live for the rest of the show. Do you think people on social media who are hating on companies have an effect on their business? 100%. There is no doubt about it that people hating on something online is going to have an impact on the view of the company. You are going to see how people react to it, what people, you can get a feel for something, and also it can kind of give you a false reading. So here's a good example. So this past week, we've had there's been a bit of a social media kerfuffle about Disney Plus because someone put up a picture of the Dying for Sex banner on the top from Hulu. And people going, this is on Disney Plus. And on Twitter, it all completely broken down into anti-Disney, anti-Disney, anti-Disney. But on Facebook, all it was this is the parents' problem. This has been like this. And it was like night and day. Literally night and day responses between the two. Now, Twitter for me has just become almost unbearable. I have really been using it less. I just find now that it's becoming unusable, and it's just full of just online hatred and rage bait, and it is just things. And obviously it does impact on people's thoughts, because if enough people say that a movie is bad, people might think it's bad. Now, good talk can override it. I think we have seen that with some shows and films, that the online hate drops off when something comes up when it's good, and people start going, this is all right, this is good. I mean, Daredevil, Born Again, Agatha, Skeleton Crew, those are all kind of movie. And I think actually also even Captain America Brave New World was a little bit like people were dumping on it for it not making enough money, but there was a lot of people kind of going, well, the movie's not bad, the movie's fine, and it was a kind of it lost that that had pre-launched. I mean, at the minute, a lot of obviously the grifting side of things is going to keep on going on about Snow White, because that's what's bringing in the clicks, and therefore I can't be bothered with it anymore. I've just lost interest in that whole aspect of whatever. When they announce the digital release, I'll write about it. When they talk about the Disney Plus release, I'll write about it. But as far as that movie is just whatever. I'm not interested in it. But yeah, it's obviously going to have an impact, and Disney have had to work hard to get around it. Let's just go down through. Now we're on the live chat, so feel free to keep putting in some thoughts. Matt says, what do you think of the new Superman movie? The trailer looks good. I'm going to go watch it. I'm a huge fan of Superman. Been a Superman fan since I can go back. I mean, there's pictures of me in my Superman outfit from 3 years old, so not a lot has changed. Yeah, looks good, looks fun. I like Superman, so it's just like any Superman movie, I will be there to see it. Matt says, what are the cancer shows? And then months later, they put them on Disney Plus and other countries. What? Not sure quite what you mean there, Matt. So if you could rewrite that one, that would be great. I'll have another shot at it. Jonathan, will Super Mario Brothers 2 be in the theaters on April 16th? No. If a new Mario movie was coming out in 3 days' time, you would know about it. They would have, it's a few years away. Ricardo says, I just saw that Disney Plus has a new convinced Fox about getting American Bad to the channel. Why would Disney tell someone else to air the show instead of getting it themselves on Hulu? Right. So Fox did a deal where they got 4 TV series. Now, obviously, they had a lot of success with American Dad before it went over to TBS. TBS are getting out of having original content. So I suspect that Fox and Disney were having discussions. American Dad was like, well, do you want American Dad as well? Let's do a deal. So this is good from Fox's point of view because they get original content and they've got 4 established IPs that'll bring viewers into Fox, and they've got a long history of doing animation. They've shortened the seasons, so therefore they can pay less or pay the same, but not, basically not paying any more money. But that's the kind of a way shrinkflation. But from Disney's point of view, all of those shows are going to be on Hulu on Disney Plus in the United States the day after. They're all going to be on Disney Plus internationally because they still own the show. It just means basically Fox gets first dibs at it. So they get extra money from Fox and they still get to make the show. So essentially, Fox is helping pay to make those shows. So it is... It's a win-win. I mean, it means that those animated shows are getting funded from Fox as well as Disney. Fox gets to show them. Disney Plus and Hulu still get to show them. It's not like they're locked away for ages and months and months. They're available the next day. Here in the UK, we're now getting all 4 of those shows for the next 4 years. Great. Also, Disney, these shows have got a long history of being on those channels and being licensed out. Disney has a very different strategy when it comes to anything from 20th television and 20th century. Anything from them is up for licensing because it doesn't have that same core branding. And again, we're talking here about shows that have got so much history on other networks that they aren't associated with Disney in the same way. We're going to be getting specials and special anniversary stuff and things on Disney Plus and Hulu of those 4 franchises. So they're still going to get the benefits. But this is very much a win-win-win. Yeah, they could have moved them all over to ABC and things. But this way, they've got Fox paying for it. Yeah, I think that might be what it is. Matt says, what do you think the price of the new flagship will be? I'm guessing $25-$30, something like that. Babek says also Simpsons has 5 different collections, which is too many in my opinion. I disagree on that one because there's like 700-800 episodes of The Simpsons. So in order to find an episode about a particular theme or genre or something like that, it's going to be hard. So I don't have a problem with having those kind of, having those collections. We can have more. We should have more collections, not less. They can always add more, but they don't, that I think that's a good one. Jonathan says, will they have Lilo and Stitch in theaters this year? Yeah, that's coming out on May the 23rd. Keenan says, how often do you go to Florida? So I have been to Florida probably about 6 times, 6-7 times. No, more than that. Probably, 7 or 8 times in my life. So on that basis, since I first went back in the 1980s, it's probably about like once every 5 or 6 years. Some years I did them more regularly. One of the things I very much got into with Florida is, I mean, last time we went to Florida was 2018, so I haven't been to Florida for 7 years. But since then, we've been to Disneyland Hong Kong, Disneyland Shanghai. I've been out to Disneyland for D23. Okay, Knoxville, see you later. Have a good Easter. Yeah, it's kind of, we've also done some Disney cruises. I went out to Alaska last year. We did the Disney cruise in the Mediterranean during lockdown when we were all in COVID. Disney came over to the UK and we're doing like a UK tour. That was our first ever cruise. Loved it. So I've always been in that mindset of, just because you like, I love Disney, and I've been lucky enough that I have been to all 6 theme parks around the world, and I love it. But I also very much in that mindset, and I see a lot of Disney fans, they just keep going back to either Disneyland Paris or Disney World year after year or every 2 years, and it's a little bit like, yeah, just go do something else. Go travel the world. If you enjoy theme parks, great. I love going to theme parks. But you can go do theme parks in Singapore. You could go see theme parks in Dubai, Abu Dhabi. You could go to Japan, Hong Kong, whatever it is. Go and do something. If you like Disney World and you want to do something, go to Shanghai. It's fantastic. Don't just keep going back to the same place over and over and over again. If you like to, and I love to travel. So if you can go to Hong Kong and do a couple of day trips while you're there and go off and see other stuff as well as going to Disney for a few days, that to me is fantastic. I've really enjoyed doing cruises where, we traveled around, and just because I love doing a Disney holiday. I love it. I'm not going to, I've done way too many, but I like spreading them out a bit. So they don't get, I love Florida, but at the same time, when we go back next time, it's probably likely going to have been, 7 years since we were last there. So therefore, you've got lots of new rides, attractions. We probably won't do as much time in the theme parks that we used to. I'm getting old now, my back doesn't take it. But yeah, I think it's definitely that thing of, to me, it's like you can enjoy a Disney holiday and you can do other things. You don't always have to do the same thing. Jonathan says, have you seen Snow White? What did you think of it? No, I haven't. I'll wait till it comes out on Disney Plus. Ricardo says, do you think Marvel will ever accomplish their original plans for Phase 6 if 2020 never happened? I think we probably would have had a lot more. I don't know if we would have had the fall off the same way at the box office, the way that it happened, because I think that was the problem, is the pandemic changed everyone's attitudes to cinemas. They might not have necessarily had that big drop off and had to fight to get everyone back. But I remember back when they announced the lineup back at San Diego Comic-Con in 2019, I remember saying back then, this is too much. You go back and watch any video where I'll be like, this is a lot. This is too many, and I said that. And yeah, it turned out to be true. The audience, they just went crazy. Jonathan asks, will there be a Conan the Barbarian 2? I don't know. They keep remaking it and keep doing stuff with that one. Matt says, why is it that they don't have the same collections in all countries? Some of it is down to licensing. Some of it, I think, is just down to the tech people not kind of activating them. I think sometimes that's just the case. Sometimes some of the American ones don't get activated here because I think the biggest problem is the Hulu and the Star stuff is still kind of separated and a little bit harder to do. Keenan says, do you think Cody Rhodes is losing his title? I think it would be a good storyline if Cena won it, then he could face Orton, have a few new challengers, and then Cody comes back at SummerSlam, and then Cena has like a babyface turn to wrap up the last few months and kind of get the fans back on side again. That could be a way of doing it. Otherwise, he could lose, and then Cena then turns on The Rock and becomes babyface again. Matt says, Oh yeah, we've done that one. Kayla says the internet is becoming the real world since 2020. Yeah, it's only got crazy. It only gets crazy out there. Ricardo says, did you watch the photos from the set of Doomsday? Some people say it might be. No, I haven't looked. I'll be honest as well. Is anything like set photos and stuff, I will generally skip over it or try and avoid it. So A, for spoilers, but also I don't necessarily believe most of it. And like you say, there's so much AI rubbish right now. Matt says, what's going on with Star India? Well, Star India got sold off to Reliance, so that's now a new separate company. That's why Disney Plus Hotstar got rebranded into Gilo Cinema. It's been sold off now. Reliance is running it. Disney's got a 30 plus something % stake in it, and yeah, it's kind of been written off the books. It's off. Disney doesn't seem to, that's it kind of done now. Miles says, in addition to my pre-done question about 20th century animation, this could provide competition to Illumination's new adult-oriented Moonlight label, which will launch. I think the big problem is going to be with this is whether or not they perform, if some of them perform well enough to warrant it. But I think it makes sense for them to explore this genre a little bit more. The one and only Tinkerbell says, I call this the lemming mindset. Oh no! People will just like whatever everyone likes and hating what everybody else hates. There's definitely a thing of got to be cool, of like, it's cool to hate on Marvel and dunk on it. And there is now people that just seem to have got on that train and they will just keep going on it and they think it's cool. You also got as well people that will be like, if something's really cool, you'll have someone that's like, yeah, not very, because they want to be. There's always been that. It always has been the same way, and that's kind of something that it's always been there. But totally agree. People are lemmings with this. Matt says, "Oh, what's going on with Hotstar in the US?" So, I mean, at the minute, the Hotstar content still looks like it's on Hulu. They never made it available on Hulu on Disney Plus. Personally, I think that stuff's probably all going to end up getting removed, and they're probably going to end up launching Gilo Hotstar as its own separate app around the world. Yeah, we did that one. What's your opinion on the bankruptcy of Village Roadshow Entertainment Group last month? Not gonna lie, I didn't actually know about it until you told me. It was like, I looked at it, I need to look into what this is. I mean, Roadshow Entertainment, I mean, they've got a lot of stuff. I was surprised that they owned a few of the theme parks in Australia, which I've been to. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they're into, but I think, again, this is part of the overall problem of the entertainment business of there's been a lot less money over the last few years, and we've just seen it decline. Matt says Kate Bishop will be the leader of the Young Avengers. Yeah, I would think her or Miss Marvel. Matt says when a show gets cancelled, like an ABC show, they're going to air later on in other countries, but do you think they should have been there before they got cancelled? I always think that if a brand new show's coming out, you should put it out globally, because like the viewership counts globally. It does feel sometimes like a show will come out on ABC, they will air it, decide it, cancel it or renew it and move on, and the rest of the world is like, we haven't even got it yet. So it's like our views don't seem to even come into consideration. It's maybe this is they don't get enough views that they is, but it does sometimes feel like you could at least release it so we could see if it was, maybe if this show was doing really well on Disney Plus internationally, it could help save it. But yeah, we did that one. Bubba Tron says, do you think Disney will rename to Hulu? No. Hulu was never a name, but Disney inherited it, and I think it's like a haiku in Chinese or something. Yeah, Hulu is valuable to them because of the advertising and the subscribers and all the content that was on there. The brand still has value, but Disney is now competing with Netflix and Amazon, and you still have some people think that Disney is just for cartoons and stuff. That's dying off with each generation. Ken says at the end, what's popular might not be the right thing, and what's unpopular might not be the wrong thing. He also said, case in point, in 2004, bashing the LGBTQ was popular, but it was the wrong thing to do. Yeah, I mean, it was that kind of thing of that was just what people did. People mocked what they didn't understand, and things have become much more And it is just, all these years later, you think, really, that was what was funny. But no, yeah. So if you've got any other questions, feel free to pop them in, because this will be the last Q&A and for 2 weeks. There won't be one next week for Easter. Take that Sunday off. Just looking here at the poll, 41% of you think there could be a movie a fortnight. I definitely think that is the best one for that one. I think that would make the most sense to do after the success of Minecraft. So on that note, thank you very much. I will be back throughout the week with new news updates. If there's any news, it's been dead as a dodo in terms of news this last week. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Toodaloo. Have a good Easter, everybody. Laters. Bye.